what is roux? Butter and flour. That's part of it, okay? It's butter and flour in equal parts by weight. Very important that it's by weight. Because by volume, we're starting to see not even close. Okay, so by weight, it's butter and flour cooked together to act as a thickening agent for everything else. We know that flour is a type of starch, so it will thicken our product for us. Okay? So, okay, so I'm doing equal parts butter and flour. I need to get my butter melted. Okay, now traditionally it's best to use clarified butter because the clarified butter has less milk solids. Now I know that making a standard roux, but if I'm making bechamel and adding milk to it, I don't care if there's milk solids, right? It's just extra work. So we're going to melt our butter, then we're going to add the equal weight flour. We typically use all-purpose, but you can use bread flour as long as I would never ever use cake flour. And right now you probably don't know what the difference is. Don't worry, you will. Okay, you will in time. But for now, just know that they are different. Alright, so in the South, or those of you from Cajun country, what is a roux used for?
To thicken up gumbo and
Etouffee, jambalaya, gumbo, all that stuff, right? And a lot of times, when we talk about that side of cooking, we cook them to a color, right? The darker, the better. More flavor, stuff like that. In French cooking, we leave a roux white. Leave it alone, okay? Cook it to white, we let it go. Always have your side though. That's why I'm always looking around. Where's my side though? Supposed to be on my side. Like all that. Right? But again, we don't have your little pot handles anymore. Right? This is how we do things. Let's not make that song. I know some of you were thinking it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Alright? Now, for your standard roux, the best thing to use is a rubber spatula. Okay? The best thing to use. I'm using a spoon to show you that it can be done with anything. This doesn't really matter. Right now, what is bechamel then? Does anybody know off the top of their head? I mean, I know that I've said it's milk and roux, which is basically what it is. But where do you see bechamel used? Cheese sauce? Absolutely. What kind of cheese sauce? Alfredo? Not a too sweet or too rich, right? But it is delicious, right? When people make mac and cheese, since we graduated from craft, actually, you guys can get closer if you want. I mean, only if you want. Oscar the Grouch doesn't live in there. It's okay. But we use this as the base for cheese sauce. Any cheese sauce made with bechamel is actually called mornay. Okay. Right now, bechamel is just a milk sauce. Okay, it's just a thickened milk sauce. The way that we'll use it in pastry, it's actually the base of a savory souffle. Okay, when you make cheese souffles and garlic souffles, usually use a bechamel as the base. Okay. So, but it all starts with roux, which is a thickener, right? So we dump it all in there, we mix it around, it'll start thickening. And again, rubber spatula is best because you can really get in there. But what we need to do is create a thick paste. Seriously, so just get as close as you want. That's all good. You're not going to bother me. Don't touch me. I'll watch out for my big dumb elbows.
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, did any seasoning or anything go in here? No. No, it's because roux is a thickener only. All right, we don't season roux ever. Now, again, when we start talking about jambalaya, and especially when we talk about gumbo, we can cook this darker and darker and darker. We just leave it on here. The proteins will swell, the starch will start to char, it will get a lot of color, which will give us a lot of flavor on its own, right? You know, there's such a thing as a red roux and a black roux, but because you are in a French school, the only roux we know is white. This is white, or blonde, or blanc, or whatever, okay? Anything like that, this. So once we're here, we're good to go, right? You see how I have a nice thick paste? You can't see it, right? I can pick it up.
Does it matter if you use salted butter?
It doesn't matter, that's preference. Totally preference. In most kitchens, we use unsalted butter because salt is a preservative. So So when they add salt to your butter, it preserves it, and we want fresher. Okay? And we'll talk about butter later, because when you hear fresh butter and sweet cream butter, it doesn't mean what it sounds like. Alright? But salted butter, whatever, just usually we don't, because we'll season it as we go. Okay? Now, the ratio for roux to milk in bechamel is what? No idea, right?
8.
Okay, in here I have about almost a pint. Will thicken nearly a gallon. Okay, roux is very, very strong. R-O-U-X. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. Will you hand me that?
Oops,
You're good, you're good. Will you just hand me the whisk, please? Merci. Okay, we switch to a whisk because we want to make sure that we can evenly distribute our ingredients. That's the whole reason we mix, is to evenly distribute our ingredients. Okay, so you see I'm on a low heat right now. I'm trying to break up this flour mixture. Okay, now I'm going to cook this to what we call nappage, or nappe, or à la nappe. What that means is it will coat the back of the spoon. Right? Now, if I let it go all the way until it completely coats it, like glue, not so good. Okay, so we need to understand the difference between nappe and à la nappe. Nobody says à la nappe unless you're in France. Right now, everybody says nappe. Cook it nappe. Cook that nappe. Right? Nappe. N-A-P-E. Nappe. Okay? Not nape. So right now, all I have is flour completely dissolved in my liquid. Okay, it's going to stay that way. What I need to do is cook it so that the starches swell even further. They start to coagulate, and it'll thicken the entire thing. Okay, so I can't have all of you whisk this, but just trust me, you'll feel it getting much heavier. Right? When you're whisking it, you'll be like, oh wow, it's starting to thicken. Before you see it, you'll feel it. We do need to whisk constantly, but we're not whisking. Okay, we just need to keep it moving. Okay, because we don't want it to scorch. It's very important to know this because in pastry, most of our custards are made this way. When we make cheesecake, when we make ice cream bases and certain types of sauces, this is how we do it. Okay, that's all. Right? And all we want to do is keep it moving. If we stir super fast, the heat can't really heat anything, right? It's too busy moving to catch heat. It will heat, but it'll take forever. And you'll be like, God, why is this taking so long? I'm working so hard. And I'm like, that's why. Because you're working so hard. It's really just like this. Come to the center, back out. Okay? If you have to walk away for a second, keep it going, walk away. Make sure that it's constantly moving. Obviously, as it gets thicker and thicker, it will start to set up on its own. Right? We drop in our sachet. Just give it a quick little tie there. Doesn't have to be anything ridiculous. It just needs to hold itself in. Okay? Now, a bechamel should always be white. Okay? This is where, again, students love to go crazy. Oh, I'm going to put cayenne in there. I'm going to put turmeric. And oh, man, I'm going to throw some Tabasco sauce. I'm going to go crazy. No, that is not bechamel. Bechamel is one of your mother sauces. Okay? Everything after bechamel is what's considered a derived sauce or a secondary sauce. Okay? So bechamel, if somebody says, hey, we make bechamel, just make bechamel. Okay? 3 ingredients. Butter, flour, milk. Don't even salt it. Okay? Let them handle that. Be like, what is it for? Oh, we're using it just as bechamel? Okay, then I'll season it. Usually it's the base of another sauce. Okay, again, we use it for cheese sauce, for real mac and cheese. When you go out to eat, that's why the mac and cheese is like so rich and so creamy. It's because it's a bechamel sauce that they turn into mornay, and then they cook it into the pasta. Okay? Only use the heat that you can actually cook over. Right? If this is going all over the place and you can't whisk fast enough or you're like too distracted, leave it on low heat. It will get there. Okay, but it still needs to be stirred periodically. Now, there isn't an exact temperature for this, but we should assume that the protein will coagulate at around 150 degrees Fahrenheit. You see that it's steaming now. Okay, right now it's only around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, don't dip your finger in it. I know, that's what I did. Don't do that. Okay, most of you, none of you have that feel yet, and safety and sanitation, blah, blah, blah. When you're not here, you dip your finger in it all day and night. Okay? But I know what 180 degrees, what 160 degrees feels like by dipping my finger in it. And I didn't get that way just overnight. Don't have a lot of feeling anymore.
Wow.
Okay? People are like, pinky swear? I'm like, you don't want to do that. Smash your pinky. Crush it. Okay? So, just wait. Now we wait. Of course. The laser thermometer is good. What he's talking about is an infrared where you point a beam at it and it bounces, it comes back. And we use it all the time for chocolate. You can use it for this, but the problem with that is this is going to steam when it goes through the steam, it refracts at a weird angle, and it'll come back. It's not going to be the most accurate read. Okay, but you could just know that it's not very accurate. With chocolate, we use it all the time. I have like a really tiny one that's like this that I wear on my wrist, and I just click, keep going, click, done. Right? It's nice and easy. Right? So I can feel it starting to thicken. You can kind of see it. Right? You can't see it a lot, but you can kind of see how it's like holding onto itself a little firmer. Okay? So I can increase my heat, keep stirring. Now I really feel it. Okay? Once it starts, it's almost like a crystalline structure. Okay? It only takes one, and it sets off a chain reaction. So once it starts, it goes pretty fast. When it comes to any stirred custard or sauce, don't ever be afraid to remove it from the heat. Okay? Don't then like put your arm over the flame, but remove it from the heat. There's enough heat in the pot, I promise. Right? But it's not constantly going. It's all good. Doesn't bother me. Makes me aerodynamic. The sachet, this is just thyme, bay leaf, black pepper, and an onion. That's it. Okay, traditionally bechamel has nutmeg. That's one of the defining things about it, but I said no nutmeg today. But usually it goes in there. Okay? But now we can definitely see it thickening, right? We see all the individual globules. Those of you who can't, bring it on in. Okay? We can see it starting to thicken. I can feel it, feel it. It's heavy. Lydia, you're confused about whiskey. I can tell you're like, okay, but we can feel that it's heavy. All right, so let's start checking it. May I have that spoon back, please? Okay, so actually, I'll use this one. Okay, we dip it in there. We draw a finger across it, and you see how it still runs right back down? See, it's kind of like a glaze, but it's not nappé yet. Nappé, it'll stop. It'll run, and then it'll stop, and it'll build up like a nice little shelf there. You see how it's still running? We're very close, but it's important to test. Now, there are temperatures for different things. Like when we work with eggs, we know that a certain temperature is nappé. But with this, it's relative, right? Because usually, you will not use a recipe when you make bechamel. You'll use like a loose estimation. You're like, that much roux and that much milk, okay? So we will test a lot of this stuff by hand as we go. Now, nappé is important, seriously, because that's how we do everything in pastry, but it's also how you're going to pass F2. Everything in F2 is cooked to nappé, a la nap, okay? So don't even be like, how should I cook it? Cook it nappé. Every single thing, okay? Except for your omelet, obvious stuff like that. But all your sauces, nappé, okay? So we're waiting and waiting. We get more heat. We're still stirring. It's getting thicker and thicker. We can see it, right? I haven't added any salt or anything to this. Always season your bechamel after, okay? Because if I walk away to get salt, it might over thicken, and then I have to like start adding more liquid, and then it's irregular coagulation, and it becomes a big deal, all right? Now, for most people, you're going to do it. Like, you can recoagulate it. It's no problem. But we want to make it right the first time. So just make bechamel. What is it for, chef? Oh, excellent. Season it. Here you go. Right? Here's another thing. Don't ever hand the chef anything that you don't think tastes perfect. Don't be like, I think it's salty. Will you grade this? Students do that all the time. What do you think I'm going to say? Hey, it's way too salty. You need to think it's perfect so that I can help you adjust that. Right? Especially in F2. Right? I haven't taught F2, but I never want to teach F2. Because students are like, yeah, I just, it's salty. And I'm like, then why did you give it to the chef? Why would you do that? Okay? You need to think it tastes perfect, and then I will tell you, yeah, that's great. I'll be like, a little too salty. I need just a hint of acid, right? Really start doing fine adjustments instead of trying to just guess. Okay? So, remove it from the heat. I can leave that going. If I see like a huge flame, I'm going to be like, hey, easy. Okay? At least turn it down. Alright? So we still stir because there is a lot of heat in there. We can tell it's obviously much thicker than it was. This is exactly what white gravy is. Bechamel is white gravy, absolutely. White gravy just usually has a lot more flavor. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Nappé.
Oh, that is awesome.
So we see the difference?
Yeah.
Clearly nappé. So what do we do with this? Remove our bouquet garni, or of course in this case our sachet, right? And that's why I don't tie like elaborate knots, because then you're like, oh, this pan's hot. Oh, come on, right? You start just getting angry. Just loop it around and you're good. We remove this, right? If someone's really upsetting you, you just fling this at them.
Oh, sorry.
Right? I don't even say sorry, I just throw it right at them. And I stand there. And I walk away. Okay?
Chef, you're ruthless.
Yeah. You have to be. Alright? Now, I removed it from heat. All of these pilots are on. There's still heat here. This is not off the heat. It's off of this heat, but it's not off the heat. Okay? We need to get it off the heat. Like all the way. Sorry. Okay? When you put things on my table, I get very upset. When you put things on your table, I get very upset. This is metal, and yes, it will stand up to most heat. But these tables, when you see them and they're all warped, it's because somebody puts hot pans directly on there. The metal expands, and then when it contracts, it bends. Okay? You see the sheet tray? That's perfect. I take this. Done. Okay? I could use a top. I could use anything, but I can use a sheet tray. Always flip it upside down because then there's that pocket of air in it. This will keep my tables from getting warped over time. It's important. Trust me, especially to us as pastry, we want everything as flat as possible, except our figures, right? But what we want, flat tables, flat sheet pans, flat everything. That way our layer cakes are perfect. Okay? So now we strain, we season, and we use. Now, you may have seen the sandwich that was delivered to me yesterday in the computer lab. That is called a croque madame. It has a slightly different variation called a croque monsieur. And what it is, that's okay. What it is a sandwich, basically a ham and mustard sandwich that's covered in bechamel, and then it's cooked, and then they put an egg on top, and it's stupid good. And it's like 1 trillion calories per bite. But it is totally worth every single one of them. Now, what am I straining? All those lumps. Okay, get all those lumps out of there. Now, I could completely put this in the blender and redo that, but every time we blend something, it's still thickening. So if I break up what's thickening, it's going to be like trying to re-thicken at a weird rate. Okay? So we just let it go. Now, with these, this is how my chef would always do it. Which is super loud, really annoying, but he was the chef. So you couldn't do anything, right? Or you put something inside and you just force it through. You're not trying to force it through the mesh, you're just keeping the mesh moving so that it moves it on its own. Okay? The reason we have a strainer is to keep stuff out, so don't like cream stuff through there. It's not the point. Okay? So, here's our bechamel. Nice and thick. Okay? Tons and tons of uses. This is one of your mother sauces. Anything after this is a derived sauce. Mornay. You can turn this into gravy, of course, right? So that is what it is. I'm just going to taste it so I can season it. Okay, let's season this together. You ready? We're all going to season this guy together. We're going to work on it. Please, jump in and taste. It's going to taste great. It's okay. It's actually going to taste a lot like stuff you've probably eaten before.
Like my grandma. Like my aunt raised it. It tastes like, oh, okay, it's not nasty. I'm looking at my face. I'm like, don't want to get at this. It's like nasty.
But if we had like other liquids or cheese or something that then
Okay. Sorry.
morning, yes ma'am. Holidays is great. Holidays is another sauce, but it's not. So how's it taste? Delicious?
I'm pretty sure I've eaten stuff that tastes just like that.
Now, why do I agitate it after I season it? To evenly distribute it. It's very important. I ask my students all the time, why do we use things? And they're like, oh.
Wow.
To evenly distribute our ingredients. If I put flour, water, yeast, and salt in a bowl in the oven, nothing's going to happen. But if I mix them, I have bread. To evenly distribute our ingredients. Very important. Now, it's going to taste much different when it's cold than when it's hot, right? Okay, but we still want it to season well when it's hot. It's very hard to season something when it's cold. Don't worry if you're not like ambidextrous. I'm not either. I'm just getting close. pepper because it's a white sauce. Okay? It's a white sauce. When you see the gravy that goes on chicken fried steak, that is bechamel with black pepper. Okay? That's almost exactly what goes on chicken fried steak, which is probably why most people are like, this tastes good. Because you're actually thinking of the chicken fried steak that goes with it. This does not taste good. This tastes like glue. Blue? Obviously. I wouldn't be this normal if I didn't taste glue. Okay? So now let's taste.
Thank you.
My sauce? Whatever.
Oh, thank you.
Now we're getting somewhere, right?
Yes.
Now we're getting somewhere. Imagine this on your chicken fried steak instead of just that pasty, floppy, black pepper
I can
mash.
deal with that.
Now we're having a conversation, is what my chef used to say.
It almost tastes like chicken pot pie.
Very close. This, right? This could be the binder for your chicken pot pie. Okay? For example, allow me to take it there.
Okay.
Right? Evelyn says it tastes like chicken pot pie. Stand back and be amazed. In that order. Don't be amazed in that. That's just.
Of course I can.
Okay, these are just thyme sprouts. Okay?
I know, right?
But yes, Evelyn, this could very much be the thickening agent for your pot pie. Absolutely. We would toss it with cooked chicken. It has to be cooked chicken because chances of your chicken cooking inside of this pretty rare. And obviously properly half cooked vegetables. This is how you make pot pie. This is how you take it to the next level. This is also how you make pot pie in a hurry. Bechamel, vegetables, chicken, go. Done. Right? Throw it in a pot. Let's go. Almost. Calm down, everybody. It takes time. Can't rush this fast.
Oh, no, that was a good one. Go, Chef got jokes.
I got jokes for days. I say when you look like this, the job's half done. It's all good. I go there all the time. But I always go alone. Yeah, it is. Pastry's a very lonely job, guys. Don't let anybody fool you.
Well, you never have to worry about
It's a very lonely job. When you're good at pastry, you're left completely on your own. Nobody needs to watch you. Nobody's gonna work the hours you're gonna work. It's a very lonely job.
That's good.
Dude, I don't like to breathing down my neck.
I know,
anyway.
right? Give me my own.
Now, obviously, to really make this better, I know we're turning this into chicken pot pie. Really, the better thing to do would be a velouté. Okay? Velouté is stock thickened with roux. So I take chicken stock, use my roux to make it nappé, add some flavoring, boom, chicken pot pie to the next level. Right?
Oh, wow.
This would be delicious. Very
Yeah.
delicious. This would be super, super rich, and you'll be like, oh, it's so good. You just can't. Right? But you use a velouté, oh, forget about it. Okay, so a velouté, same thing, but instead of using a dairy product, we just use stock. And it's almost always white stock. Okay? When we use a brown stock, it's what's called sauce espagnole. Alright, so please. Now remember, as it cools, the thyme will get stronger, but for now at warm, this is when you need to stop with your thyme.
So good.
We got some suds. Make sure the suds don't touch the fish. Those suds are my fish. You turn that handle. Turn it up or down, and it'll stop it. There you go.
So good this.
Thick. Okay. So bechamel. Again, I had a whole bunch of cheese. I get some mostly cooked pasta, pour it over that, throw it in the salamander, mac and cheese. Done. Doesn't have to be macaroni, of course not. It could be any pasta, but mac and cheese sells, right? Makes sense. Now, you make your own pasta, make your own bechamel. Chances are you're not going to make your own cheese, but right, you make 2 out of the 3. It's pretty good. That's how they can charge you $10 for a little portion, and you'll buy it all day and night. Because it's not the blue box, right? It's not Velveeta, which is disgusting. I know Texans love Velveeta, but think about what that really is. It never needs to be refrigerated. It's always semi-liquid. Like my wife eats more queso than I care to admit. She's like, "You want some?" I'm like, "I don't want to look like queso." Okay, thanks. So, any questions about bechamel? And we talked briefly about velouté. Same thing. We just use a stock and a roux to thicken it. Okay, how far do we thicken it? Nappe. Always nappe. Anytime we deal with our mother sauces, nappe. Okay, sauce tomate is the only one that's a little different, but we'll get to that later, all right? However, Shannon asked me about hollandaise. I will show you hollandaise. You will not make hollandaise until you get to have 2. Hollandaise is nappe, but then it gets a little different from there, okay? Now, your mother sauces, right here. Bechamel is one of them. Velouté is another. Hollandaise is one. Sauce tomate, and then sauce espagnole. 5 mother sauces. It's in your book. You do need to know it. Okay? You will make every single one of them have 2, like a couple of times. So go ahead and read about it now, right? Oh, I understand. That way in F2, depending on who you get, you'll blow their minds. They'll be like, oh, plus it makes me look good. Okay, let's be honest. Right? You guys go in there looking good, I look good, it's up back there.
And we all look good.
It's your story. Alright, so are there questions about this? Are there questions about our fish ferment? You guys don't like it, huh?
Yes, good. I never thought fish juice would be so good.
Fish juice.
Yeah. I love fish.
Correct. When you wipe it and it just stays right there, that is nappe. Okay, now certain things, again, we can cook at the temperatures and we can figure it out that way. But nappe is almost always tested exactly like this. Pastry, we always have our rubber spatulas, which have silicone coating. It's really hard to test nappe on something that's coated in silicone because it's always going to run. Okay, so typically we use a wooden or that plastic spoon you guys have. It's perfect. They save that for when you're trying to test nappe. Even just leave it on the side, dip it in there. Good. Okay, now we can do it on these, but it's such a small spoon and it's also coated that it's a little weird. Okay, now you guys are probably like, Chef, I didn't see you wash your hands once when you touched my spoon. Okay, there used to be something called the Roux test, where you would dip a spoon in it and you would blow, it like right here. And it would open up like a rose because of the way you blew on it. And that was another way to test nappe. Obviously, that's pretty unsafe, right? My spit all in that. Yeah. Even though it's so sweet, it's good, but we don't want that, okay? So, no questions. All right, let's do this. I need mirepoix. I need a lot of it because we're going to make some veg stock, okay? So, we have, what's on the card? We've got